I literally just had a baby and I decided I wanted to get into running. I am a coach and a personal trainer myself, and I could have programmed my own running plan, but I decided to do Couch to 5k, partly because I've never done it before and I wanted to see what it was like, and partly because I wanted to see what maybe was going wrong with it, why people drop out halfway through, which I have heard is a problem, and I wanted to know what people might struggle with through struggling with it myself. I started Couch for 5k when I was 11 weeks postpartum. They don't recommend you do any running until you're 12 weeks postpartum, naughty me. But hear me out, my physio that I had to do my checkup, and I paid for a specific one, I didn't go with the NHS checkup that is really not a checkup. She said that the first week of Couch to 5k is mostly walking, so it would absolutely be fine, and it would be a good way to test my pelvic floor and see how I was getting on. And she basically gave me the all clear to start Couch to 5k at 11 weeks because I had no complications. Despite having a C-section, my pelvic floor was fine, I wasn't having any issues with my C-section scar. I'm really lucky that I was in a good place. And during my pregnancy, I did CrossFit, and I really wanted to change after giving birth. I'd set my sights on a high rocks, and that's really what I wanted to do, but I knew that I would have to train to run because I hadn't run for a year because I'd been pregnant. And then even before that, CrossFit doesn't involve a lot of running. And I'd done a high rocks before, and I'd only done CrossFit to train for it, and I was like terrible. I mean, not terrible, I completed it was fine, but it was awful, and I sucked at running because I'd not trained running, I'd not done any running. And yeah, that was stupid of me, but I was really bought into the CrossFit methodology that CrossFit gets you fit for everything, which isn't entirely true. You need to run if you're going to do a race that's got running in it, obviously. I got a bit sucked into a methodology that maybe isn't totally in line with the sports science. So when I thought about doing a high rocks this time, I was determined to actually run and to train for it multiple times a week, doing some sort of running, because running is my weakness. It's definitely the thing that I struggled with the most when I did high rocks last time. All of the stations were absolutely fine. I've got pretty good strength base. Even the sled push, I did high rocks pro, even that was absolutely fine. But when I thought about starting running, I was a little bit worried that my pelvic floor wouldn't hold out for the end, which was like a 30-minute run. I wasn't sure I'd be able to get through the whole program having no issues, continuing to have no issues whilst running. And it was so close to having just had a baby, I was wondering whether it was too soon. But I started looking into it anyway, and I realised that Sarah Millican, I love her, she's amazing, like a comedian in the UK, she's just so funny and so relatable.
I found a way to make planking a lot easier, do it naked, tits and belly hit the floor, a lot less to hold up.
And she's one of the coaches on Couch to 5k.
The idea is you start as a beginner, and by the end you should be able to run 5 kilometres, and the whole way through you have somebody in your ear talking you through it, telling you when to run, when to walk, offering any kind of support and encouragement. And of those people, there's quite a few people you can choose from. One of them is Olympic gold medalist Michael Johnson, and another one is me. How the fuck did that happen?
So I could potentially have her coaching me through my runs, giving me little encouragement. And then I also saw some of Ashley's content on YouTube, and she is also a plus size runner, and she's completed Couch to 5k. She's now on 10k. She's amazing.
I actually signed up to run my first 5k, you guys. 30 minutes. I just ran for 30 minutes straight for the first time in my life. I did it in my fastest time, so I'm happy.
But I'm very happy with my 5K race time. A 12-minute, 35-second pace, finishing it in under 40 minutes.
And I am plus size, and I had a lot of thoughts that maybe because I'm plus size, because I'm heavier, that I would really struggle with running, and that maybe it would like really impact my knees or have lots of negative impacts for me, or that I just wouldn't be able to complete it because I'm bigger. But Ashley's done it, and she is amazing, and she's gone on to complete more stuff, so she really inspired me to take on this journey and go for it. So I decided, okay, I'm doing it, I'm gonna go for it. 11 weeks postpartum, I set out to do my first Couch to 5k run. And the first run was awful. I was running in barefoot shoes, and I had really, really bad calf pain. And I was only running for 60 seconds, and I wasn't out of breath because I have cardiovascular fitness from my other training that I do. So I do a bit of functional training, a bit of CrossFit, less CrossFit now, more high rock stuff. But my fitness was there. It was the muscular endurance, which really shocked me actually, because I'm quite strong and I have muscular endurance in CrossFit workouts or functional fitness workouts, but I was really sore and really struggling to make my body go any faster. I just couldn't run any faster than I was running. It starts off with a 5-minute walk to warm up and then a run. My first 30-second run went terribly, as you can tell.
Not going well.
Era literally ran off after a cat in the complete opposite direction to the way we were going, and I had her attached to one of those waist leads. This was the first time I'd tried running with her attached to this lead. I was also wearing barefoot shoes, and I love my barefoot shoes, but I feel like for running on pavement they're not the best, especially as a larger bodied athlete. The impact going through my feet really hurt, so I'm definitely investing in some running shoes. What I love about Couch to 5k is it's literally like run, walk, run. It's the perfect way to ease into it, and it felt pretty easy. What I noticed is my cardiovascular fitness was actually fine. It was my muscular endurance that I struggled with. I'm pointing to a couple behind me who are clearly also doing Couch to 5k. They were running and walking in very similar intervals to me. It was hilarious. We kept catching each other. Era was still trying to sniff the hedge the entire time, which was rather distracting. She has got better since though. And one of my last few runs was up quite a steep hill. You can't really tell by looking at the camera, but trust me, it was steep. And then there's a 5-minute cool down. I'm so proud of myself for my first run. I finished my first run and it said, well done, you've run for 6 minutes or 8 minutes, something like that, and it was so demoralizing. I was like, is that it? It felt like I was running for ages. And obviously you're brisk walking in between, but I was just disappointed. But regardless, I decided I was going to continue. I got home, I ordered myself a pair of wide fit running shoes because I like barefoot shoes, but there's no way I'm running barefoot on concrete any longer, and I decided to carry on. I was doing 2 runs a week at this point. It does recommend 3 runs a week. I was completing it a little bit slower, so week 1 basically took me 1 week plus 1 run in the next week, and then week 2 was like 1 run in week 2 and then 1 run in week 3, and I think I did that all the way up to about week 5, and I was noticing that I was getting progressively better. 60 seconds and 90 seconds felt pretty similar after the first week or so, and then I was running for 3 minutes and it felt the same as the 60 seconds did. And I was really confused because for so long in my fitness journey, I've not really seen a huge amount of progress, especially in like cardiovascular fitness. And I just thought it was fake. I thought, how could I possibly be getting this much better this quickly? Like a couple of weeks ago, I could barely run for 60 seconds and now I'm on 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 8 minutes. By week 4, I was running for a total of 8-minute chunks. But then I got to week 5. And I think this is the point where a lot of people give up, because it jumps from 8-minute intervals, walk-run intervals, to 20 minutes. And as a coach myself, I understand the methodology behind that. They want to get you to do long, steady state runs, but unfortunately, there isn't really any wording around that. They don't say you just need to go slower in order to be able to complete this 20 minutes. And it is a massive jump from 8 minutes to 20 minutes. You look at that and you're like, how am I ever going to be able to do that? I've only run for 8 minutes as a total so far. And for me as a coach, I probably wouldn't program that. I would program something like a 16-minute interval. And obviously they want you to be doing 20 minutes total. So you could do like 16 minutes and then add on a little extra 4-minute at the end. Maybe it's like a cool down jog or something, or even like a speed interval. But I think the jump from 8 minutes to 20 minutes was too much. Regardless though, I decided I was going to try and do it. And honestly, I completely shocked myself. I managed to complete the 20 minutes and it blew me away. I did feel really, really slow, and I went as slow as I could possibly go because I was like, the only goal is to complete this 20 minutes of running, because after this I get to go on to, I think there was another couple of intervals and then there was a longer run. For a couple of weeks you do different runs for all 3 runs, and that's when I moved on to doing 3 runs instead of 2 runs. But I completed my first 20 minutes and I was thrilled, but I had no idea how I'd even managed that, jumping from 8 minutes to 20 minutes. Over the next couple of weeks, it was like 20 minutes to 24 minutes or something like that, then 27 minutes. It was like little jumps. So you were doing longer and longer runs, and the walk run intervals dropped off. And I had a bit of a meltdown when they started to get rid of the walk run intervals, because I was like, I'm not going to be going very fast. I'm going to have to go super slow in order to run for this length of time. But I was so determined to complete Couch to 5k and to do it properly that I kept going. My first 25-minute run. Slow and steady. Every time it came up with like a 27-minute long run, I did it instead of changing the plan or not doing it and trying to do some sort of intervals instead, because I did think about doing that halfway through, but I stuck to the plan. Before I started, I had no idea that I could ever run for 30 minutes, but then I got to the final week and I was doing it. I was running for 30 minutes and I was enjoying it. When I started, I didn't enjoy it, but by the time I got to my 30-minute runs, I was loving it. This is the last week of Couch to 5K, my first 30-minute run. And it's going well. I can't believe it. I've been running for 2 months now, I think. A couple months to Hyrox. I'm like so proud of myself. I had 3 runs left and I completed Couch to 5K and I couldn't believe it. I definitely got like the runner's high. I was running over the top of the hill and you can just see this like expansive view of everywhere, like windmills, trees. It's beautiful. And I was just loving just that moment. I was so in the moment, and running has helped me like decrease my stress. It helps me blow off some steam when I'm feeling really anxious. It's been so helpful to me. I struggle a lot with mental health and exercise has always been a good outlet, but running is such a good outlet for it. And my therapist was explaining this to me. Running is a little bit like EMDR. So EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprogramming. So you basically like look side to side and they talk you through certain things. That was invented whilst somebody was walking, and running is very similar. You do look from side to side, and moving through scenarios, literally running forward, can help you process things. And my therapist has this theory that basically that might have happened. Maybe that's why I'm enjoying running. It was just a flippant comment, but I'm definitely going with that. I feel like it's really helping me with my mental health, and that is a massive win. And then on top of that, I went from not really enjoying running that much to loving running, which is really weird. So I decided to ask ChatGPT why this might be, and it's come back with a few different responses. There are actual studies that suggest that doing something repeatedly helps you enjoy it. So the mere exposure effect, simply repeatedly exposing yourself to something can make you more familiar with it and consequently find it more enjoyable. There are studies on music and art that prove this. Your brain starts to recognize patterns and reduce the cognitive effort required to engage in the activity. So it's that kind of switching off effect. Classical conditioning, that's is that like a behaviour science? I remember that. If a repeated activity is paired with a positive outcome, yeah, isn't that the dog with the bell thing? I'm pretty sure. Hopefully someone knows what I'm talking about. Pavlov's dog. Behavioural conditioning. Science, that was definitely in science classes. Maybe psychology. I did do psychology for a little bit. I can't remember. You're doing something and it's giving you a positive reward. You feel better after the run. Therefore, you associate the run with positive emotions. That makes total sense. Habit formation and skill mastery. Doing something frequently often leads to improvement, which is rewarding. That's definitely something that I experienced. Behavioural activation. This approach is commonly used in therapy, suggesting that even activities that don't seem enjoyable at first can become more rewarding through consistent practice. Engaging in an activity can also spark interest, which can later evolve into enjoyment, especially if it aligns with personal goals and values. So yeah, it aligns with my personal goal of doing a Hyrox and my values of being somebody that's fit and can run around after my kids and maybe go for a park run with my child one day. How amazing would that be? Yeah, but this makes total sense. So if you hate running, there is hope that you will one day like running if you just do it. How mad is that? And there's like social factors, like join a run club, some of that definitely would help. So I finished Couch to 5K. I'm now a runner. And not only did I finish Couch to 5K, but I was so motivated by it that I decided to book myself a 5K race because I want a medal. I'm in my medal era. I have medals behind me from various things. And when I did CrossFit and I competed in CrossFit, we won a couple of trophies, but someone else in the team has got them. And CrossFit competitions typically don't give out medals. And I did like over 40 CrossFit competitions and I just have nothing to show for it. So now I want a medal for everything that I do. Thank you very much. I'm gonna get myself a sweet participation medal for a 5K and then maybe do some other things that have medals in them, probably more running. And some of the interesting things that have happened during my running journey is my body feels better and more recovered, doing less CrossFit, and now I'm doing more functional training that's more like zone 3, and then my runs now are zone 3, lower intensity. They're not maximal intensity all the time, and my body feels so much better. And people tell you that your knees are gonna hurt when you start running, but that also isn't evidence-based, by the way. I don't do any of the fitness stuff that I do for weight loss. I've struggled with eating disorders, and it's something that I stay away from. And this is something that I'm actively struggling with, because when I start to lose weight, sometimes I struggle with focusing on that and being more restrictive with my food, and I'm trying to ignore it and just continue doing what I'm doing, because I don't care if I lose weight, that's fine. I tend not to try and control my body and what it does, but the fact of the matter is I have lost weight. I've lost about 2 to 4 inches around my waist. I don't weigh myself, but I wear a waist belt to run with the dog, so the dog is attached to the waist belt. And when I started Couch to 5k, it was on the maximum setting. It was as wide as it would possibly go. I'm lucky it fit me. I didn't actually think about buying one that was my size, and then I've had to adjust it, so it's unavoidable. And then numerous t-shirts that I wear are suddenly really baggy on me. I've had to buy new running leggings because they're falling down. Yeah, I'm still plus size. It probably to a lot of people does not look like I've lost weight. I don't care, because I'm not trying to lose weight. But the fact of the matter is that has happened. So if that is something that is one of your goals, doing something longer intensity, steady state heart rate stuff might be something that's for you. I now personally can't see how I would ever not be a runner. I love it so much. I want to do it forever, and I do get pretty obsessed with things. I do go through phases. You can go back on my YouTube and see some of the phases that I've been through. I went through an Olympic weightlifting phase, and I was like, I'm never not doing this. So we'll see. We'll see if I go off it in a couple of years, but I love it right now and I want to continue. From now onwards, I'm going to be doing one 30-minute run, and that's going to be a tempo run. So I'm going to be trying to push the pace for distance. Oh, and I didn't mention, this whole time I've not tracked any of my distances or my paces, but I've just got a Garmin, so I can do that now. I am now tracking my distances and my times. So I'm doing a 30-minute run, trying to run as fast as far as possible, but within zone 3 to 4. I'm not absolutely pushing it to maximal, because then I'll just burn out and die. So 30-minute run, and then a long steady state run where I'm adding 10% to the distance each week, so that I'm consistently running further and further. And by the time I come around to do my high rocks, I should be running for about 60 minutes, which is pretty cool. And that's only 9 weeks away. I don't know when this video is going to come out. It's probably sooner than that now. And then my last run on a Saturday is going to be an interval based run. And that's going to be pushing like threshold pace. So zone 4 to zone 5. And I'm going to be running probably for 5-minute intervals, and then having a 90-second rest. And this is all based on like the science of running and how to improve your distances and paces with runs. Most of your training should be in zone 2 to 3, and then you should be pushing like threshold pace like a very small amount of the time. I think it's like 80-20. So that's what I'm doing now. If I was to do Couch to 5k again, I would try and remind myself that 5-week is a bit of a jump, but I could do it. And if you're wanting to do Couch to 5k, remind yourself that you can do that. If you want a slightly different approach and you want to train for functional fitness at the same time, maybe you want to do a high rocks or something, I have a hybrid program that has a Couch to 5k style run program within it. There's a running bias track and a strength bias track, but it's a different format to Couch to 5k. I'm not going to make you jump from 8 minutes to 20 minutes. There's going to be a bit more lead up to that. Like I said, probably slightly longer with a shorter interval. And then there's also some like in-gym treadmill interval based runs after a workout, and like a tempo run. And there are, if you're an intermediate and you already do a little bit of running, there are runs on there as well. We've got easy runs, tempo runs, threshold runs, gear shift minute runs, everything that I can throw at you to make you a better runner, but based on evidence and heart rate zones and the stuff that'll actually get you better. So if you're interested in that, check out my link below. I've got programs. During the Couch to 5k, I did do a hybrid competition. If you're interested in hearing my story about what happened with that, it literally had like a 1.2k run in it, and a 100-meter sprint and a 400-meter sprint on top of weightlifting, only 6 weeks after I'd started training, which is crazy. I can't believe I actually did that. If you want to watch the story on that, then watch this video next. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.